So the Nationals, they just fired the GM. They just fired their manager, Davey. And safe to say Dave Martinez was a GOAT. Was a GOAT. I mean, you had to say he's probably the greatest manager in Nationals history. And Mike Rizzo built that team. And kudos to him. You know, he brought in, of course, Bryce Harper, and Strasburg and those boys. So kudos to him on that. But the Nationals, ever since the Harper era, ever since the Soto era, ever since, losing Scherzer and Turner, it's been kind of downhill in terms of their win total. But they have prospects that make me scared as a Braves fan. They're going to torture us for years, right? Who are not really prospects anymore. C.J. Abrams, proven all-star in this league. James Wood, proven all-star in this league, and is going to be all-star for years to come. Dylan Cruz, right? Is he the face of the franchise? I still think it's C.J. Abrams. But is he the face of the franchise or one of them? Yes, he's one of them for sure. Will he overtake C.J. Abrams as the face of the franchise and become that Bryce Harper 2.0 type of kid that we're expecting him to become? I think so. You have Josiah Gray. You have Mackenzie Gore. You have Cade Cavalli. You just called up Brady House. I like that move. Yes, if you want to go with a second baseman or a shortstop here at number one, and that would be Ethan Holiday, that's what you would do. But I think Jamie Arnold just fits this team a little bit more, especially when you're talking about Mackenzie Gore possibly getting traded at the deadline. Josiah Gray can't really stay healthy. Cade Cavalli, when he's on the mound, boy, does he pitch well, but sometimes he struggles. Why not get you some more pitching? Add a little bit more pitching talent, star power, right? And Jamie Arnold brings all that to you. And I think Reed Detmers with velocity is my comparison. I mean, you could put him day one. He could skip AAA and he could go straight to AA, and he could be your day one starter in 2026. I'm not saying that that's not possible, but if he dominates, he could be your day one starter in 2026, like a Paul Skeens. Number two, we had Cade Anderson out of LSU, another potential day one starter, in my opinion, because of the potential that he has to be just lights out in the minor leagues, and potentially when he gets to the majors, a threat to all of baseball. And the Angels are getting lucky here. I mean, that's all they draft is pitching, right? That's all they draft is pitching. I would draft Ethan Holiday here, but just for the sake of talent, just for the sake of you need reliable arms in that rotation, especially coming up with Dana and Joyce and Klassen, who you got from the Phillies last deadline. He's Shea McClanahan light for me, is Cade Anderson. And I will say, I watched one game. It was like 6 innings straight. Yeah, he had a no-hitter through 6. I mean, he had about 12 Ks. This brother can pitch. And don't get it twisted. I know the Angels have been struggling to find pitchers. Everybody's not Ohtani. I get it. Reed Detmers, we thought he was going to be all-star by now. I mean, he struggled, but he had promise. He had promise. That's all the Angels really have is promise. They don't really have hope. This guy gives them hope along with Christian Moore, right? Christian Moore is going to be your second or third baseman for the future. Zach Netto's your shortstop for the future. So if you want to draft Jackson Holiday, are you going to put him at third? Are you going to put him at second? Because you could put Christian Moore at third. You could put Christian Moore at shortstop. That's the versatility that you have. But let's keep it basic here. You already have Moore. You already have Netto. You already have Nolan Shono. You have other prospects coming up in that system, like the 3 or 4 I mentioned, and including your outfielder, Nelson Rada, who I believe that brother is going to be an all-star for years to come. And like I said, you need somebody in that rotation that's going to just take away from the Ohtani hurt just a little bit, and I think he will. Of course, with Mike Trout and others, Mike Trout's still on the roster, still being productive, so I wouldn't be surprised if they pick an outfielder and reach, because that's what the Angels do, but they need pitching. Liam Doyle to the Seattle Mariners, Coastal Carolina prospect. I will say, Mariners are kind of choking the season a little bit. I thought they would at least be up to like 70 wins by now. I mean, that's just me, but it's all right. They could reacquire Angel Suarez at the deadline. Excuse me for butchering that, but Logan Gilbert, right? I mean, Robbie Ray gone, and you've been missing that arm for quite a minute, right? I think Jordan Montgomery, when I think about Liam Doyle and what he brings to this team, you have to love what he did in college. I mean, he checks literally every analytical box that you think he can check. Um, of course, he has flaws, right? Especially with the changeups and the sliders. He needs to perfect those. But in terms of his fastball, I think it's very, very, very pretty. Now, he does have a nasty slider, but like I said, if you go up under the hood and kind of, put some nuts and bolts under it, which Seattle is known for doing with their pitchers, like we saw with Matt Brash a couple years back when he started to come up a little bit and his name was heard, I think this is the right piece. Now, you can take Ethan Holiday. Like I said, you need a shortstop for the future. J.P. Crawford is getting old, so you can use a shortstop. I know you have Cole Emerson, right? But Cole Emerson could probably play third. Just saying. So think about this. Think about this as J-Rod gets into his prime. Think about this. If you're the Rockies, this is a dream scenario. Ethan Holiday falls to four. You don't have a franchise star. Don't say that it's Ryan McMahon. I mean, some people would say, okay, Tovar. I love Tovar, but is Tovar the long-term guy for you right now? I mean, I still think he is, but you need a franchise star. Ethan Holiday, right, with Charlie Condon and Chase Dolander and Zach Beam, that's the young core right there. Ryan Ritter could probably be part of that young core as well. I mean, they have an all-star. Hunter Goodman, boy, is he good. But it's a breakout season. Is he going to keep producing like this? And is he going to be your long-term catcher, or is it going to be Drew Romo, who we all thought was going to be up by now and consistently playing? But, hey, it's okay, right? I mean, he came up a little bit in that 2024 season, and obviously we know what happened there. But Ethan Holiday, I don't have to say much about this kid. We know who he is, the brother of Jackson Holiday, former number 1 overall pick. We know who he is. Son of legend Matt Holiday. We know who he is. So if you're the Rockies, if he's there on the board, you take him. Yes, it's going to be a toss-up between him and LaViolette, but you take Ethan Holiday over LaViolette for obvious reasons. You already have Charlie Condon. It makes no sense, right? So that moves on to my next pick. Best player available for the Cardinals. You have J.J. Weatherholt. You have Mason Wynn. You have Nolan Gorman. You have Jordan Walker. Now you add Jace LaViolette to this team, to this core, actually. This young core, I like it. And not to say that, he can be partners with Jordan Walker out there, but by 2027, you're looking at the next Kyle Tucker here. I think you're looking at the next Kyle Tucker here in Jace. And if you're able to get him at 5, which he probably is going to slip down to 5 now, I'll be surprised if the Mariners take him at 3. But if you have the opportunity to get him at 5, you do it. Number 6, because he fits so well in that system, and I can see the core right now of Weatherholt and those guys. I can see it. Number 6, Billy Carson. With the O'Neal Cruz rumors, I don't think he gets dealt at the trade deadline unless you get immense prospects back. I don't think he gets dealt. But in the case that you're even thinking about it before then, let's get some insurance here. Let's go get Billy Carson. Yes, he's raw, but gifted. He has flexibility in that star upside to a Pirates farm system that, has Bubba Chandler, top 5 prospect, Tamir Johnson, who should be up right now. I mean, you have Keith Brian Hayes, who needs to be gone, I believe. You have O'Neal Cruz, I already mentioned him. Brian Reynolds should have been gone 2 seasons ago, but we're not going to talk about that. But I definitely think you have an infield now of Johnson and Carson long-term at the shortstop and second base positions respectfully. That's what you're looking at. You're looking at something like that. And the Miami Marlins also get lucky a little bit here because Ava Arquette, one of my top 5 prospects in this class, I believe when you look at just upside and potential, he's up there. If not 2, then 3 in terms of just raw potential outside his draft. His helium is real. The climb, the rise of him is real, and he's going to go in the top 10. And the Marlins need to take a shot on Dominican or Hawaiian. I believe it's Hawaiian. You take a shot on him because you need anybody. I mean, you have Connor Norby. You have Sandy Alcantara. Okay, that's good. Outside of that, who do you really have? Let's just be honest. In terms of promise, you offloaded Jazz Chisholm. You offloaded that that whole team to just basically rebuild. And now Sandy Alcantara is still stuck there, who could get moved at the deadline. I don't think he does. I think they wait until this offseason to move him at the winter meetings, but that's another conversation. I think this kid is Kevin Biggio with more pop on the bat. And we know what Kevin Biggio did in his time in Toronto. Wasn't really a star like that, but was an important piece of that core of the kids, right? You know, Guerrero, Bichette, Tellez, those guys. Danny Jansen, you know, like Reese McGuire. We know, right? So I definitely think there, you know, with this whole restructuring of the roster and the rebuild that they are in, deep rebuild, you could use a guy like this who's versatile in infield. Reminds me of Brock Holt in terms of his versatility in the infield and what he can do. Isaiah kind of Falefa also comes to mind with him. But I think Kevin Biggio. Now, this right here is the one. Gage Wood, right? To Toronto. I have Gage Wood to the Toronto Blue Jays in my mock. And a lot of people are going to say, why is Gage Wood going so high? Not only because he had a dominant, almost perfect game and has had one perfect game before. Look at what he did outside of the, you know, the no-hitter and the perfect game that he has had. Look at what he has done on the mound. The stats say it. I mean, ERA, very low, right? I mean, it's good, but you know what I mean. Could get better. He's raw, but gifted. Like I said, you go under the hood, and fix some nuts and bolts in there, and he could be up by 2026. I'm not saying that he's going to be a factor right away, but if he is, especially with Ricky Tiedemann still recovering from an injury, just imagine you have Ricky Tiedemann and Gage Wood as your 1 and 2 in that rotation for the future. I love it. And you re-signed Vladdy Guerrero Jr., which still makes no sense to me. Are you going to trade Bo Bichette at the deadline? And if you do, get some insurance. Could a Billy Carson fall to you, right? I don't know. But Gage Wood in that rotation with Tiedemann, long term? Yeah, no. Long term, I mean, you already have Arjun Namala, so it really makes no sense to draft another shortstop. But Gage Wood makes so much sense in this system. And honestly, I would take him. I would take him 8. Tiedemann and Wood. And he's Yohan Durant for me in terms of a comp. Kason Witherspoon, to the Cincinnati Reds with the 9th overall pick, right-handed pitcher. We know just minor things about him. I don't know too much about him, but what I do know is that he has an explosive arm. His velocity, he makes it look very easy. He could headline the next wave of great pitchers, like I said, with Anderson and Arnold, those guys. I definitely think that he could be Bobby Miller with less polish. I'm not saying that he's as good as Bobby Miller right away, but you can even look at a guy, and this is a head-scratching name to say, but Sergio Romo, in terms of his mechanics, I definitely think that Sergio Romo has, you know, and Kason Witherspoon have similar games in terms of the way the ball comes out and how it spins. But that could just be me. But Bobby Miller, I definitely think that's a good comp for him. And at 10, the Tampa Bay Rays, Steele Hall. I mean, you're trading up to get a guy via but the Athletics pick. And you need outfielders. I mean, Kevin Kiermaier's gone. Josh Lowe, he's all right. You know, you don't really have outfielders in your farm system that has promise. You know, so go get you an outfielder to start that outfield kind of trajectory, you know? He's rising up draft boards. I didn't think he was going to be in the top 10. I would have took any other name besides Steele Hall, but just watching a little bit of film of him and watching him throughout high school and what he did, it's a no-brainer here to take him, especially how the board has fallen. He could develop into a Brandon Lau type, ironically, who's still on the team, who should get moved at the deadline and should have been moved 2 seasons ago. Cedric Mullins is my comp for him, but don't be surprised if he has little Brandon Lau in his game, considering that Brandon Lau is there and he might come up fast. I don't know. I think 2028 is his ETA in turn. I mean, he's still raw. So 2028, I think. Now, if he comes up by 27, I'll be shocked. But I think 2028, you get him up there. You have Junior Camargo. You still have McClanahan on the team. So hopefully the Rays are a good team by then. But you need kind of impact rookies right now. Like, you need some impact young players that can come up right now, like Camargo did, like Tosh Bradley did. Like, you need those guys in your farm system to kind of be like, to pack a punch, But them and the Brewers produce pitching like it's nothing, and they love hitters. They they love bombers over there. Austin Shetton in that trade a couple seasons back. They love those guys, right? So for you to get a Steele Hall here who can swing the bat, to just polish that up, to go under the hood, and tighten up the nuts and bolts, I absolutely think this is the right pick here. Now, this is my top 10. Let me know down below